Hi, I'm Mike. This is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and today we're going to make a mask for my Harbor Freight Fireman's hatchet that I modified. Stick around. Maybe we'll learn something together. Alright, first thing we need to do is come up with a paper pattern for this, because I'm going to model this in paper before I even think about cutting leather, because, well, paper's a hell of a lot cheaper than leather is, you know what I mean? So, to do that, we are going to first get a piece of paper. In this case, I'm using poster board. And it's going to be big enough to go around the axe. We kind of want to fold it up, get it in its final shape here. Well, not final shape, but it's some idea of what it's going to have to look like, how the head's going to fit in there, and then trace that out. I'm also going to do it on the outside. Just so I know where the head is. If you notice, that leaves a line in here too, so the main part we're going to want to worry about covering is the edge. It's going to be the edge here because that's razor sharp. The rest of it is just going to be a simple fold over that's going to snap around there. I just got to figure out exactly how to do that the best way. There are two ways I can do it. I can either have it fold over the top and snap, or fold under the bottom and snap. It's for ease of use. I'm probably going to fold over the top. I want to make sure that I have my axe lined up on my pattern, and I need to give it a good ½ inch or so around the bit of the axe, the blade of it, because that's where I'm going to sew, and I'm going to make a welt to go in there, and I don't want it to cut that area, you know. So I'll work on a pattern here and we'll get back to it. Now that I have the paper pattern worked up, let's see how it's going to fit on the blade. I'll just slide up like this and then latch over top, and it won't be able to come off, and it'll protect the blade and protect me from the blade. So now let's go ahead and cut the pieces out in leather. Now that I have all my pieces cut out, it's time to start gluing it all together. Alright, now that I have everything glued together, trimmed up, sanded, I'm going to go ahead and mark my stitching holes, punch them, stitch it together. I'll come back when that's done. Alright, now that I have everything sewn together, I got to punch the holes, determine where the snaps go, and then punch the holes. Now that my holes are punched, I'm going to dye it and then set the snaps. I'm going to dye it with Fibing's leather dye, dark brown. When you use this dye, it's usually a good idea to have your surface damp. It helps spread the dye evenly and not leave blotchy spots. I tend to put it on in a circular motion. Alright, now that I have it dry, now that I have it dyed, we'll go ahead and let this dry, then I'll set my snaps. The audio on this part was so bad that I had to kind of get rid of it. What I'm doing here is setting my snaps. I'm making sure that the outer part is the smooth dome part, and I'm using the domed part of the anvil to set this. You put the I tend to put, it doesn't really matter which one you put there, but I tend to put the female on the domed part to match it up with it. You set it on in there through the hole, and then the female part over the little post that comes out. You use your snap setting tool to put down into the little post rivet part that comes out, and you tap it down, and what that does is it curls the edges out and it traps the two halves of the piece together. You don't want to get it super tight, but you do want to get it tight enough so that it's not going to come off whenever you try to unsnap the piece. I'm having a little bit of problems with this at this point because of the matting that I have underneath the plywood there. It's absorbing some of the force, but as you can see, it does curl over the little post good enough to hold the that part of the snap on. So then I'll flip it over and I'll use the other side so that I can use it on that part of the snap. It's not the side that's going to show, so you don't have to put the domed part of the snap there. You use the flat part, and you use that flat part of the anvil for the flat part of the snap. And again, you want to make sure that you put the little post rivet part through the hole that you've punched. This hole wasn't exactly cleanly done, so it gave me just a little bit of problems, but eventually I get it. Yeah, it was kind of a pain in the butt. There was a little chat of leather left and it didn't want to go. But again, then you put the male part of the snap over the rivet there. Use your snap setting tool and tap it in. Again, I was having some problems with it because the little the gray matting that I had down on the table and under the plywood was absorbing some of the force, and it didn't particularly want to roll over. But eventually, with enough applications of the hammer, so to speak, and some patience, I was able to get it to where it would hold the snap in place, which we'll see here in a moment. And here we have the final product, all finished. Now I don't have to worry about falling down and cutting the crap out of myself. I didn't want to burden you guys with a full-on step-by-step tutorial per se, but damn, it's a little snug, isn't it? With a full-on, I didn't want to burden you guys with a full-on step-by-step tutorial, but if you guys really want that, you know, don't hesitate. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks. This is Mike from Budget Guns and Gear Reviews. You know, as always, keep coming back. Maybe we'll learn something together.